now that we've seen what's up on top, we did talk a little bit about the travel levers up on top, and we did talk about the radio remote. This is what the radio remote looks like. It comes with a battery charger, 2 batteries, charges right off of the machine while the machine's running, so you always got a battery charging while you're using one of the batteries. Unit itself, on-off switch, emergency stop, push that down, emergency stop, shuts everything down hydraulically just like the rest of the emergency stops. You got to pull it to release it, turn the unit off. Keep in mind this switch, if you turn it on, red light blinks first, then the green light blinks, letting you know that it's in operation. If you're holding this unit for 5 minutes or longer and not using it, it will shut itself off to save the battery life. When that happens, all you have to do is turn it off, turn it back on. First 4 buttons on the top of this unit are for forward, reverse, travel, counter rotation, horn, and emergency stop. The sides, you have feeder start, jaw start, blank button on the bottom. On the opposite side, you have feeder stop, jaw stop, and again, a blank button on the bottom. Keep in mind, while you're using this machine, the machine will not travel in operation mode or will not operate in travel mode. There's a switch on the control panel that has to be switched from operation to travel for the unit to work in either one of those modes. Also, in reference to the radio remote control, the switch is right here. In this position, we're in panel control. Flip it to that position, we're in radio remote control. Flipping that switch, turning this unit on, will cause the yellow rotating beacon to rotate. The purpose of the yellow rotating beacon is to let everybody on the ground know that the unit is in radio remote control. Again, if the unit shuts itself down to save battery life, the yellow light will stop rotating, letting you know that it's not in operation anymore. All you have to do is turn it on and off again. For now, we'll put it in panel control. We'll go through the rest of this panel. Up on top, you have the red button, emergency stop, just like all the other red buttons on the machine. Push it, it shuts everything down. Horn, ignition, throttle control, turtle, rabbit's maximum. This is something new for Komatsu on our machine. We don't have this on any of the other machines. This is a sequential start system. Push the green button, starts the magnet first, main conveyor, crusher, and the feeder. If you have the optional side discharge conveyor, muck conveyor, it is independent of this sequential start. That's why it is not covered as are these other buttons. You have to start that on its own and stop it on its own. When you go to shut down, you push the black button, push the side discharge conveyor black button if you have that option, and the unit will shut down in sequence. It'll shut the feeder down first, has a 10-second delay, and then the jaw crusher, main conveyor, magnet will shut down 10 seconds after that. As I said, these buttons also are for stop-start of these components, with the exception of the side discharge conveyor. You've got main conveyor, jaw, feeder, and magnetic separator. Green buttons are start, black buttons are stop. If for some reason you want to start or stop one of these independently, you have that option. If you want to stop the feeder and let the crusher run, just push the black button on the feeder, it will stop. To start it back up, push the green button and the feeder will start back up again. This switch right here with the little picture of the jaw crusher, the two-sided arrow up on top, arrows going each way, the R. In this position, the jaw crusher is going to run in forward rotation with a down thrust, which is a standard rotation for jaw crushers. It has a down thrust as it's crushing. If you want to run it in reverse rotation continuously, for example, if you're crushing asphalt, clay material, something that's sticky, that's sticking to your fixed jaw plate, shut the crusher down, flip the switch to the R position, start it back up, and it'll be running in a reverse rotation, giving you an up thrust. So the sticky material will be pushed up instead of down, and it'll free up your chamber and not cause the material to stick quite so bad. We can run this jaw continuously in the reverse rotation because of the ability that we have without the toggle plate in here. We have the fixed link plate and the hydraulic system that allows us to do this. For most applications, though, for high production, you would want to run the jaw in forward rotation. These three switches here, these three toggles, top one is for your working lights. You got two positions for working lights. You got a working light on the tail, and you got one on the the main frame of the machine at the engine compartment for night working. The second switch, as you can see in the top position with the track highlighted, is travel position. It gives you the picture in the screen, exactly the same picture that you would see on a hydraulic excavator. Tells you what travel mode the machine's in. Right now this machine looks like it's in low. If we flip the toggle switch up on top to high or rabbit, you would see high in there. Gives you your hour meter reading, water temperature, oil, and fuel level. In the second position, with the upper structure highlighted, this is work mode or operation mode. You see a picture of the machine from a top view. You have circles depicting every component: side discharge conveyor, feeder, jaw crusher, magnet, main conveyor. If any one of these motors goes over relief, it automatically shuts the hydraulic system down, just like pushing an emergency stop button. The circle that relates to that motor that went over relief will light up in red, letting you know which component caused the shutdown. That way you can go to that particular component, clear out whatever caused it to shut down, find out why it shut down. Once you've relieved it, you can start the machine back up again. Haven't done anything, haven't heard anything, and you're good to go again. Last position, which is our adjustment position, service position. You see a picture of a jaw, you see numbers in here. This is used for adjustment mode. In the A position, with our last toggle switch, A is for automatic. In automatic mode, this allows us to adjust this crusher automatically. We input whatever dimension we want in here in a range from 2-inch minimum to 5.9-inch maximum. Input that dimension, go through the sequence. What it does is it automatically closes the jaw until the two jaw plates touch, resets itself to 0, accounting for wear, and then opens it back up to whatever dimension you've inputted, again within that range from 2-inch to 5.9-inch. Automatic is the only mode of adjustment of these three modes that resets itself to 0 every time you go through the process. And again, it does that to account for wear. In semi-automatic mode, what you're doing is you're inputting either a positive or a negative number, and you're referencing back to the last time you set it in automatic, and you're either opening it or closing it, whatever dimension you've inputted. For example, you go out on a job site, you have the jaw set at 3 inches. The customer comes out, can you make that a little bit bigger, say about 1 inch bigger? All you have to do in semi-automatic mode is input a 1 for 1 inch, and it will open the jaw that amount. If you put a negative number in there, like a -1, it'll close the jaw 1 inch. Again, it will not go beyond the parameters of the machine, which are 2-inch minimum and 5.9-inch maximum. In manual mode, what you're doing is you're using buttons 1 and 2 on this keypad. They are used to open and close the jaw chamber. Manual mode is used mostly for service issues, or if you get something stuck in the jaw crusher. It's the only mode that allows you to go beyond the parameters of the machine, again, which are 2-inch and 5.9-inch. In manual mode, you're able to open it up to 6.5-inch, and you're able to go below 2-inch. The purpose of that is if you get something stuck in the jaw crusher, getting it out, if you have no more movement, is very, very difficult. So if you're at 5.9-inch, you get something stuck in there, you still have a little over 1/2 inch to open that jaw crusher to pull something that's stuck in there. And again, as long as you're holding 1 or 2 down, it will open or close as you're holding it. And you can see the numbers going up and down on the in the little square. And again, the number that you see in here is reflecting back the last time you zeroed it out in automatic. We go down to numbers 4 and 5. Those are toggle switches for forward rotation, reverse rotation of the jaw crusher. We would use those to adjust the jaw. If you look up there, you can see a little screen opening with a red bar in it. That red bar has to be visible through that screen for us to be able to adjust this jaw properly. We adjust our jaw on the open side, so as long as that line is visible in there, when we adjust this crusher, take for example, we want to set it at 2 inch. We set it at 2 inch on the open side. That means it'll stroke down from there during operation 1 inch to 1 1/4 inches. So it'll stroke down to 1 inch to 3/4 inch, and then open back up to that 2 inch dimension or whatever dimension you've inputted. The nice thing about that for us is that whenever you're set at any certain dimension, you're going to get a very high percentage of product coming out that dimension that you've set. So at 2 inch, you're probably going to get 96, 97% passing or more of that 2 inch dimension, because we're running that crusher at such a high rate of speed, which we'll go through here in just a few minutes. So that line has to be visible up there for you before you go through your adjustment process in any one of these modes, automatic, semi-automatic, or manual. And the way to get that line visible is to use 4 and 5. You just toggle it back and forth until you see that red line in there, let it go, and you're set. You can adjust the crusher. Also, if you get something stuck in there, being able to open it all the way, as well as being able to forward, reverse, rotate the crusher, allows you to take items out that might be stuck. 7 and 8 are forward, reverse rotation of the main discharge conveyor. Again, if you get a piece of rebar or a rock stuck in the tail pulley, rather than fighting it to get it out, just reverse rotate that main conveyor, and it's a lot easier to take out rather than trying to fight it. 0, the buttons at the very bottom, there's 1, 2, 3 buttons at the very bottom, which are under the 0 mark, are the only 3 functions that you can affect while the jaw crusher is running, while the machine is in operation. If we push the first one to the far left, you see a picture of a jaw crusher with a 2-sided arrow, check mark blinking at the bottom, and a triangular grid that you can affect lowering and raising with the up and down arrows. This particular button is for jaw rotation speed. We can vary the speed of this crusher from 170 to 330 RPM. 330 RPM is where you'd want to be for crushing hard, clean, dry material. You won't have any sticking. It's going to crush, and you're going to get your maximum production. The only time you'd really want to slow this jaw crusher down is if you were in material that was bouncing out of the chamber on you, round, hard rocks. Slow the jaw crusher down a little bit. It lets the crusher grab them and push them through. Also, if you're in asphalt or sticky material, as well as reverse rotation, you can slow the rotation of the jaw down a little bit, and it allows that material to drop down. It does not take effect until you push the check mark and do away with that blinking check mark. And again, you can do that while the machine is running. If the machine is, if you want to slow the crusher down while it's running, just push that button, go do your up and down, push the check mark, and it affects it while it's running. Second button, or the middle button, picture of a little feeder. Same graph that you saw on the last one. Right now we're at maximum vibration for the feeder. If you want to slow the feed down, push the down arrow, you slow the feeder down, slow the feed into the crusher down. Increase that grid, and it goes to maximum rotation on the feeder. This button, along with this third button to your right, which is jaw pressure, again, which is actuated the same way. Feeder speed and jaw pressure work hand in hand together to keep the level of the material in the jaw crusher from going too high. You want to keep the material 60 to 70% full in that jaw crusher. And what jaw pressure does is, the higher the jaw pressure, the longer the sensor takes to slow the feeder down automatically. The way that the system works is when the pressure goes up in the jaw, automatically slows the feeder down, thus not overloading the jaw crusher. Between feeder speed and jaw pressure, you can affect the level of material in that crusher chamber. And again, you have to push the check mark for it to set itself to whatever position you've set. Again, those are the only 3 functions that you can use on this machine while the machine is running. 3, 6, and 9. Number 3 is contrast on your screen. Again, you can change it, push the check mark to affect it. 6 is your service mode. It's a little picture of a book with a wrench in the middle of it. These are all your service functions. You can go to any one of these and pick what you want to look at. Again, push the check mark If you want to go back, push the reverse arrow. And then number 9 is just buzzer stop. If the buzzer goes off, alarm system goes off, push the buzzer stop and it'll stop it from buzzing.